Journey back to the golden era of cinema with Ben-Hur 1959, the monumental epic that set new standards in Hollywood with its jaw-dropping chariot race, unforgettable characters, and Charlton Heston's career-defining performance. Celebrated with a record-breaking 11 Academy Awards. The film became one of the most influential movies of all time, etched forever in film history. But over 6 decades later, many fans still wonder what became of the talented cast who brought this masterpiece to life. In 2025, we revisit their stories from enduring Hollywood legacies and remarkable achievements to quiet lives away from the spotlight, and even some surprising little-known twists. Discover where the stars of Ben-Hur are now. Jack Hawkins was born on September 14, 1910, and at 49 years old, he embodied Quintus Arrius in Ben-Hur, the stern Roman naval commander who becomes a paternal figure to Judah Ben-Hur. Hawkins's portrayal radiated discipline and authority, perfectly capturing the Roman officer's gravitas and strategic mind, earning him admiration for giving depth to what could have been a one-dimensional mentor role. Hawkins's early years in Wood Green, London, were punctuated by emotional neglect and the pressures of a conservative household, where his mother's expectations clashed with his artistic ambitions, instilling a lifelong sense of personal restraint paired with hidden insecurity. Professionally, Hawkins battled both personal health crises and industry challenges. A lifetime of chain smoking led to multiple throat surgeries that severely compromised his voice, forcing dubbing of later performances and heightening on-set tensions with co-stars and directors. His reputation as a difficult actor grew with whispers of arrogance and meticulous control over performance, yet he remained a deeply respected figure in British cinema. The most devastating professional setback came when declining health limited the roles he could accept, truncating what might have been an even more expansive career. In his personal life, Hawkins remained intensely private, avoiding public scrutiny of his marriages and alleged affairs, which fueled speculation about romantic entanglements and the emotional loneliness behind his disciplined exterior. Jack Hawkins died on July 18, 1973, at 62 from throat cancer in London, leaving a legacy enriched by roles in Lawrence of Arabia, Zulu, and The Bridge on the River Kwai, with net worth details unclear but cemented by decades of iconic cinematic contributions. Charlton Heston was born on October 4, 1923, and when Ben-Hur premiered in 1959, he was 36 years old, stepping into the formidable role of Judah. Ben-Hur, a prince betrayed and enslaved, who rises to reclaim his honor through sheer determination and unmatched chariot skill. Ben-Hur's combination of stoicism, righteous anger, and heroic presence made Heston a symbol of cinematic masculinity, while his character's moral struggle resonated with audiences as a timeless tale of vengeance and redemption. Heston's childhood in Wilmette, Illinois was shaped by the strict religious environment of his parents. A schoolteacher mother and a father who was a classical pianist, where he endured bullying and a sense of isolation, learning early to mask vulnerability behind a veneer of authority. His career was a study in extremes. He rose from small, often uncredited roles to become a leading man, yet he was notorious for on-set clashes, perfectionism, and inflexible ego, reportedly intimidating co-stars and occasionally demanding script rewrites mid-shoot. One of his most scandalous episodes came when his public political persona, shifting from civil rights activism in the 1960s to outspoken conservative advocacy as NRA president, sparked fierce criticism and alienated colleagues who had once admired him. His personal life mirrored his on-screen intensity. Heston was married to Lydia Clark for over 6 decades, but sources hint at private marital tensions, including rumors of extramarital attractions and controlling tendencies. Beyond politics, he battled obesity, arthritis, and ultimately Alzheimer's, which gradually eroded his vitality. Charlton Heston passed away on April 5, 2008, at age 84 in Beverly Hills, California, leaving an estate valued at around $40 million, reflecting not just decades of cinematic achievement, but also shrewd financial management that allowed him to amass wealth despite the controversies that dotted his life. Haya Hararit was born on September 20, 1931, and when Ben-Hur premiered in 1959, she was 28 years old, making her Hollywood debut as Esther, the devoted, compassionate love interest of Judah Ben-Hur, whose emotional intelligence and understated strength provided the moral and romantic anchor of the film. Esther's gentle presence and unwavering loyalty endeared her to audiences, portraying a character of subtle courage amidst the epic struggles of revenge and redemption. Hararit's childhood in Haifa, then part of British Mandatory Palestine, was framed by political unrest, economic scarcity, and the early loss of security during adolescence experiences that forged resilience, but also a tendency to internalize emotional trauma and remain guarded. Her career trajectory, though briefly bright with Ben-Hur's monumental success, was plagued by the fickle nature of Hollywood. She struggled to secure substantial roles thereafter and often faced typecasting, with studios reluctant to cast an Israeli actress in leading parts. Off-screen, she lived a life of quiet mystery, marrying British director Jack Clayton, yet shying away from media attention, sparking decades of speculation about possible romances and reasons for her abrupt Hollywood exit. The most notable professional disappointment was her inability to parlay Ben-Hur fame into sustained stardom, which, combined with private frustrations over artistic agency and cultural barriers, left her largely in seclusion. Hararit battled aging illness and the psychological weight of fading recognition with stoic grace. She passed away on February 3, 2021 at 89 in Buckinghamshire, England, from natural causes. Her net worth was modest, likely under $1 million, reflecting a life that prioritized artistic accomplishment and privacy over commercial gain, leaving behind a legacy defined more by an unforgettable cinematic performance than material wealth. Hugh Griffith, born May 30, 1912 in Wales, was 47 when he brought the flamboyant Sheikh Ilderim to life in Ben-Hur in 1959, portraying the charismatic Arabian horse trainer whose eccentricity, wit, and worldly insight provided both comic relief and narrative balance to the epic. On screen, Ilderim's theatricality, sharp intelligence, and unorthodox methods contrasted with the rigidity of Roman authority, and Griffith's performance radiated unpredictability, humor, and wisdom, cementing him as one of the film's most memorable supporting characters. Off-screen, however, Griffith's brilliance was shadowed by personal demons. Growing up in a working-class Welsh family during the economic hardships of the interwar period, he faced material scarcity, a strict and often cold parental environment, and societal teasing that instilled in him both resilience and a lifelong sensitivity to criticism. His career, though studded with accolades, including a celebrated Shakespearean stage presence, was marred by chronic alcoholism, which caused erratic behavior, missed performances, and tension on set. He was notorious for showing up intoxicated, delivering performances with a dangerous combination of genius and instability, and sometimes undermining himself with impulsive actions or sharp verbal confrontations with co-stars and directors. Despite these challenges, he earned the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Ben-Hur, becoming one of the few Welsh actors to achieve such recognition and solidifying his place in cinematic history. Personal relationships reflected similar turbulence. He married 3 times, but his excessive drinking and unpredictable temperament strained family bonds, leading to estrangements with children and periods of isolation. Health issues, compounded by decades of alcohol abuse, ultimately led to his death from a heart attack on May 14, 1980, at age 67. At the time, his net worth was modest, likely under $1 million, reflecting both the intermittent nature of his career and the personal choices that eroded his earnings. Cathy O'Donnell, born July 6, 1923, took on the role of Tirzah in Ben-Hur in 1959 at the age of 36, portraying Judah Ben-Hur's devoted sister with a subtle blend of vulnerability and strength that provided emotional resonance to the epic. Tirzah's gentle presence contrasted with the film's grandiose spectacle, making her character deeply sympathetic to audiences, and O'Donnell's delicate expressions and timing lent authenticity to family moments that might otherwise have been overshadowed by sword fights and chariot races. Her early life in Alabama was far from glamorous. She grew up in modest circumstances, facing financial insecurity, a father who struggled with alcoholism, and persistent teasing from peers that left her emotionally cautious and adept at concealing feelings. Her career soared with the acclaimed The Best Years of Our Lives, but by the late 1950s, she experienced a gradual fade from the limelight, partly due to her unwillingness to exploit her fame and her reluctance to participate in Hollywood's cutthroat social games. She endured tension on sets, occasionally clashing quietly with directors over artistic interpretations, though she avoided public scandal. Her marriage to Robert Wyler, brother of director William Wyler, offered stability but also subtle pressures as she navigated life within Hollywood royalty while trying to maintain personal autonomy. Tragically, her life was cut short by cancer on April 11, 1970, coinciding with her wedding anniversary, adding a haunting poignancy to her legacy. At death, her net worth was modest, likely under $1 million, reflecting her early retirement from acting and the absence of lucrative residuals, leaving a legacy that is cherished for its grace and understated talent, rather than financial or tabloid notoriety. Sam Jaffe, born March 10, 1891, embodied Simonides in Ben-Hur at age 68, delivering a performance filled with gravitas and understated authority as Judah Ben-Hur's steadfast steward. Simonides' loyalty and wisdom were central to the film's narrative, and Jaffe's portrayal lent the character depth and credibility that grounded the epic's vast scope. Jaffe's upbringing in New York City was marked by hardship. He grew up in a Jewish immigrant household with limited means, navigating anti-Semitic discrimination, frequent family instability, and early exposure to poverty that forged his resilience and intellectual curiosity. A polymath teacher, engineer, musician, he transitioned to acting relatively late, and his career suffered a dramatic setback during the McCarthy era, when he was blacklisted for alleged communist sympathies, halting projects and forcing him into relative obscurity for years. Despite this, he returned to prominence with roles in television and film, though he carried a quiet bitterness about the industry's willingness to ostracize him. Known for his sharp mind and occasional temper, he could intimidate younger co-stars on set, and rumors circulated of tense negotiations over billing and credit, although he avoided major personal scandals. Jaffe's personal life was complex. Married multiple times, he faced family estrangement and difficulties, reconciling the demands of his career with relationships. He endured the deaths of close friends and professional mentors, adding layers of personal sorrow to his long life. He passed away from cancer on March 24, 1984, at age 93 in Los Angeles, leaving behind an estate valued at around $4 million, derived from acting, teaching, and investments, reflecting both his intellect and enduring contributions to the arts, though shadowed by periods of professional exile and personal turbulence. Frank Thring, born May 11, 1926, in Melbourne, Australia, took on the role of Pontius Pilate in 1959 at age 33, delivering a performance that was at once commanding, icy, and memorably theatrical, embodying the complex moral ambiguity and authoritarian presence of the Roman governor with a chilling precision that lingered long after the film ended. Behind the scenes, Thring's life was a striking contrast to the rigid control of his on-screen persona. He was openly gay during a time when such openness was not only socially taboo, but professionally risky, which forced him to navigate both Hollywood and Australian theatre circles with a careful blend of flamboyance and discretion. His childhood was marked by instability and tension, financial hardships, parental expectations, and social pressures in Melbourne forced him to develop a sharp intellect and a defensive, witty personality that later fueled his stage and screen charisma. Professionally, Thring's career was punctuated by moments of brilliance and frustration. He struggled with alcoholism, which sometimes affected his reliability on set, and he frequently clashed with directors who did not appreciate his dramatic flair or demanded a toning down of his idiosyncratic performance style. He was notorious among colleagues for a cutting wit, a Gothic aesthetic in dress and home decor, and a tendency to dominate scenes both on and off set, traits that made him simultaneously magnetic and difficult to work with. His personal life reflected similar tensions. A marriage to actress Joan Cunliffe ended reportedly unconsummated, and he cultivated relationships that challenged societal norms of the time, all while keeping a public image of aristocratic elegance. Health issues and alcoholism curtailed the accumulation of wealth, leaving him with an estate valued under $1 million at his death on December 29, 1994, at age 68, from esophageal cancer. But his legacy remains as one of the most memorable and enigmatic villains in cinematic history, combining intellect, theatricality, and a life lived defiantly against conventional expectations. Terence Longdon, born May 14, 1922, in Newark-on-Trent, England, assumed the role of Drusus in Ben-Hur in 1959 at age 37, portraying Messala's loyal aide with a poised professionalism and understated presence that reinforced the narrative's tension and the hierarchical dynamics of Roman power. Longdon's childhood was shaped by the dual pressures of modest means and societal expectations. Growing up amid economic hardship, he endured teasing self-doubt and emotional strain that necessitated an early cultivation of resilience and discipline. His wartime service as a Wutu pilot added another layer of intensity and psychological complexity, leaving him with both lifelong friendships forged under duress and the lingering trauma of combat. Transitioning to acting, he faced repeated professional challenges, frequent typecasting and supporting roles being overlooked for leading man status, despite his charisma and the subtle politics of British and later Hollywood film sets that often constrained his opportunities. Although outwardly composed insiders recall that Longdon could be exacting and occasionally confrontational with directors and cast, especially when his artistic standards were compromised, yet he avoided overt scandal, maintaining a reputation for gentlemanly decorum. His personal life included 2 marriages, periods of solitude, and a careful management of finances, reflecting the pragmatism needed to sustain a career that never achieved blockbuster recognition. Even so, he contributed consistently to British television and film, earning respect for his reliability and craft. Longdon passed away on April 23, 2011, at age 88, from cancer, leaving behind a modest estate, likely under $2 million, a figure reflective of steady work rather than fame. But his legacy endures as a symbol of dedication, adaptability, and the understated excellence of a performer who quietly mastered his craft while negotiating the pressures of war class and the capricious nature of the entertainment industry. Stephen Boyd, born July 4, 1931 in Northern Ireland, took on the role of Messala in Ben-Hur in 1959 at the age of 28, portraying the Roman officer whose transformation from close childhood friend to implacable adversary of Judah Ben-Hur became the emotional spine of the film. Messala's character is a study in ambition, pride, and the corrosive effects of loyalty corrupted by power, and Boyd's performance brought a magnetic, almost dangerous charm to the role, making audiences both admire and fear him simultaneously. Behind the scenes, Boyd's life was far from the controlled, heroic figure he portrayed. Growing up in a working-class Belfast household during the Depression, he endured teasing for his lanky frame, sporadic affection from his parents, and the constant pressure of proving his worth in a city scarred by sectarian tension, forging a mixture of insecurity and relentless ambition. His Hollywood career, though, punctuated by fame. After Ben-Hur was marked by volatility, Boyd was notoriously temperamental, prone to sudden absences, and occasionally clashed with directors over artistic choices. Industry insiders whispered of his difficult personality, obsessive work habits, and his tendency to reject lucrative roles on principle, including the high-profile role of Mark Antony in Cleopatra, a decision that may have cost him long-term stardom. Rumors of a discreet homosexual attraction, allegedly encouraged by screenwriter Gore Vidal, added a layer of intrigue and secrecy to Boyd's life as he navigated Hollywood's unspoken codes and the pressure to maintain a heteronormative image. His personal relationships were tumultuous, featuring multiple brief romances, sometimes tempestuous affairs, and periods of profound loneliness that mirrored the emotional intensity of his on-screen characters. Despite occasional indulgence in drinking and gambling, Boyd maintained an air of elegance and professionalism, though his health was fragile, exacerbated by stress and lifestyle choices. Tragically, he suffered a massive heart attack on June 2, 1977, while playing golf at 45, cutting short a career that promised even greater heights. Boyd's estate, estimated at under $5 million, reflected both a lack of strategic financial planning and the private, almost mercurial approach he took toward his life and work. André Morel, born August 20, 1909 in London, was 50 when he portrayed Sextus in Ben-Hur in 1959, a role that embodied the rare moral conscience within the rigid brutality of the Roman hierarchy. Sextus's measured integrity and principled stance contrasted sharply with the corruption around him, leaving a subtle yet lasting impression on audiences. Morel's childhood was shaped by an upper-middle-class London environment shadowed by the aftermath of World War I. His father's strict discipline and frequent absences led to a solitary, introspective youth often filled with bouts of self-doubt and quiet rebellion. Professionally, he became a respected stage and screen actor, renowned for his commanding presence and vocal authority, yet off-screen. His life contained contradictions. He was a heavy smoker, reportedly consuming up to 60 cigarettes daily, and navigated the pressures of marriage to actress Joan Greenwood while juggling the demands of acting and union activism as president of Equity. Though generally scandal-free, he occasionally clashed with industry figures over actors' rights, earning a reputation for stubbornness behind the refined exterior. Morel faced moments of career frustration, including near misses for leading roles and the persistent typecasting as the dignified authority figure. His personal life remained relatively stable but private, marked by devotion to family and the theater, while health concerns, including a long-term battle with lung issues, loomed silently. He died on November 28, 1978, at age 69 from lung cancer in London. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated between $2 to $3 million, reflecting decades of disciplined work and advocacy for actors' rights, and cementing his legacy as one of Britain's most dependable and respected character actors, a man whose off-screen complexities only deepened the resonance of his performances. Marina Berti, born September 29, 1924 in London, to an Italian father and English mother, was 35 when she played Flavia in Ben-Hur in 1959, a part that, though small, added elegance and a subtle emotional layer to the epic. Flavia's refined poise mirrored Berti's own screen persona, eliciting admiration from audiences, while offering a quiet contrast to the more tumultuous lives of other characters. Berti's childhood in London was marked by cross-cultural tensions, frequent relocations, and early experiences of being teased for her mixed heritage, which instilled a resilience and adaptability that would serve her in a competitive film industry. Her career in Italian and American cinema was prolific, including nearly 100 films such as Quo Vadis and Cleopatra. Yet she navigated periods of professional uncertainty, struggling with typecasting as a European elegance archetype, and occasionally encountering behind-the-scenes disputes over billing and compensation. Personally, she married actor Claudio Gora and cultivated a showbiz family supporting her children's artistic ambitions, while balancing the demands of an international career, a juggling act that required discretion and careful management of public perception. Berti avoided scandal, maintaining a reputation for grace and professionalism, but she faced private trials, including the death of close colleagues and the constant challenge of sustaining relevance in a changing cinematic landscape. She died on October 29, 2002, at age 78 from cancer in Rome, leaving an estate estimated at $2 million, reflecting her enduring success and careful stewardship of her career, while her legacy remains one of elegance, resilience, and dedication to both family and the craft of acting. Adi by Berber, born February 4, 1913 in Vienna. Austria was 46 when he appeared as Malik in Ben-Hur in 1959, a role small in screen time but unforgettable due to his imposing 6'6" stature and menacing physicality. Malik's loyalty to Judah lent a surprising humanity to the otherwise harsh narrative, providing glimpses of empathy through Berber's performance. Berber's early life was marred by hardship in post-World War I Vienna, growing up in poverty with a father absent and a mother struggling to make ends meet, forcing him to navigate ridicule at school and the constant need to hide vulnerability behind physical intimidation. Before acting, he was a professional wrestler, a career that both exploited and reinforced his formidable presence. Yet it left him with ongoing physical strain and injuries that haunted him in later life. On set, he was known to be temperamental, occasionally clashing with directors over stunts and the authenticity of his roles reflecting a fierce pride in his craft. Personal relationships were uneven. Despite his tough exterior, he was reportedly warm to friends and family running a small cafe in Vienna, though he never achieved significant financial security. His greatest professional challenge was transitioning from European genre films to Hollywood, a shift only partially realized with roles like Malik, highlighting the precariousness of international actors in the studio system. Berber died on January 3, 1966, at age 52 from a tumor, leaving a modest estate, likely under $500,000, yet his cult status in European cinema endures, remembered as the giant with a gentle heart beneath a fearsome visage, whose personal struggles and determination shaped every role he embodied. Martha Scott, born September 22, 1912 in Missouri, was 47 when she appeared as Miriam in Ben-Hur in 1959, embodying Judah Ben-Hur's mother with quiet dignity, emotional gravitas, and a maternal resilience that gave the epic a deeply human core. Miriam's character represents suffering endurance and unwavering familial love, and Scott's nuanced performance balanced sorrow with strength, leaving an indelible impression on audiences who saw in her both the vulnerability and the fortitude of a mother under extraordinary circumstances. Off-screen Scott's life was defined by both determination and subtle rebellion against the limitations imposed on women in Hollywood. Growing up in a middle-class family with strict moral codes, she internalized a sense of duty and propriety, but also cultivated a fierce independence and work ethic that propelled her into acting. Her career, while celebrated, was often constrained by typecasting. She was repeatedly cast as maternal or dignified figures, and she occasionally confronted directors and producers over being overlooked for more dynamic roles. Her personal life reflected both stability and challenge. Married for decades, yet she navigated periods of marital tension, demanding professional schedules and the complex balancing act of being a pioneering woman in mid-century theater and film. Scott co-founded a theater company with Henry Fonda and Robert Ryan, demonstrating her commitment to nurturing artistry beyond personal fame and financial reward. But this also meant she faced repeated frustrations as Hollywood prioritized commercial over artistic endeavors. She lived to 90, passing on May 28, 2003, from natural causes, leaving an estate valued at approximately $5 million accumulated through decades of thoughtful investments and a steady career. Her legacy is one of measured power grace under pressure and a devotion to craft that allowed her to navigate both personal and professional challenges with dignity, making her performances timeless and her life an exemplar of artistic perseverance. Thank you for joining us on this nostalgic journey through classic television history. If you enjoyed learning about the cast of Ben-Hur and where they are now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more vintage Hollywood retrospectives, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your memories and suggestions, so let us know which TV show or movie cast you'd like us to feature next.